I recently got some new coffee beans I wanted to show you. So they're from an Australian company called Proud Mary. All three of these flavors are so amazing. I think I'm gonna go with the Ghost Rider for today. This has like kind of fruity tones to it, which sounds weird, but it's actually really, really good. I've been obsessed with doing cinnamon and sweetened condensed milk in my lattes. I just feel like this adds a creaminess to it, obviously. Insanely good. But I wanted to talk about what I think is the best way to make an iced coffee at home. And this really only applies if you have a hot shot of espresso. If it's already cold, like it's a cold brew concentrate or something like that, then it doesn't matter as much. But this is how I avoid a watery iced latte, because that is the worst. Add a little bit of cinnamon. I kind of like a lot. Then sweetener of choice. Then we're gonna mix this all together. And it's very important, in my opinion, to mix the sweetener with the hot shot of espresso, because I feel like it melts it all together. And especially if you're using sweetened condensed milk or honey or something that's a little bit thicker, I like to get mine pretty fluffy, almost like a shaken espresso situation. Now we have a tall cup of ice. I'm gonna be using ultra filtered whole protein milk because I need as much protein as I can get. I'm very against protein shakes mixed into coffee. This though, this tastes very similar to regular milk, so very precise about the amount of milk that I use. And I do like a little cinnamon on top. Oh yeah. Finished my coffee, and I'm gonna be honest, that was one of the better coffees I've probably ever made at home, which I feel like that never happens when I'm making food on camera. It just ends up being kind of mid, but that was incredible. We're off to a great start this morning, so let's keep that ball rolling with some apple pie protein pancakes. So I'm gonna be using the Kodiak protein pancake mix just because it makes things a little bit simpler. I'm starving, let's get into it. Whenever I buy dates, I always get them with the pits in them because I feel like they're so much juicier and they just taste way better. So if you've tried dates in the past and didn't like them, felt like they were kind of dry and crusty, I would try with the pits in them. Okay, I've just been adding splashes of water as needed, and I tasted one, and I think it needs more cinnamon and more of the monk fruit brown sugar for sure. And I think I'm gonna add a little splash of vanilla as well, just to give it some extra flavor. But I've officially stained my top making the apples, and you know what? User error, because on what planet was a white crew neck the right choice for today? Don't know if you can tell, but that's basically doing nothing. Apples are looking stunning. They have browned up nicely. The vanilla is not optional. Okay, that really changed the game once I added that. I do usually just eyeball the milk, to be honest, until I get the right texture. Well, that wasn't enough. And then one way to make these a little lower calorie is to do either half water, or you could do all water. If I track butter, I am certainly getting every last drop that I tracked and weighed.
That's pretty crazy.
Honestly, those were very good, but I do have two tips if you're gonna make those yourself. First of all, I made the batter a little bit too thick. You definitely wanna go a little bit on the thinner side if you're doing protein pancakes, because otherwise they can feel a little bit dense. And the other thing, I wish I had put the dates in with the apple mixture instead of putting them in the pancakes. I'm gonna be honest, maybe I just cut them too small, but I could barely taste them in the pancakes. Otherwise, no notes. I was most surprised by the Greek yogurt little vanilla situation. That tasted so good, and I thought the creaminess really added something. I was also thinking if you wanted to kind of meal prep the apples and use them multiple times in the week, you could cook all of them on a Sunday or something, keep them in the fridge in a Tupperware, and then just add them on top of like yogurt bowls, pancakes, oatmeal. That would be really good. Save you a little bit of time washing the same pan over and over. I have a lot of cleaning to do in my kitchen because that did take quite a few dishes. So I'm gonna go clean up really quickly, and then I'm gonna prep some blue chia pudding to have later this afternoon as a snack. Every time I open this bag, I fear for my life because this stuff stains like you would not believe. So we're just just gonna be very, very careful. It is so dark and gloomy and sad today. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but I like doing a mix of yogurt and milk. When I do all milk, sometimes it's a little bit runny. When I do all yogurt, sometimes it's cement. This will take about 15 to 30 minutes in the fridge to set up. That is gorgeous, like seriously. That occurs in nature. Isn't that crazy? Do you hear that? I'm gonna make some date bites. I'm gonna make two versions. I'm gonna do one kind of classic chocolate peanut butter one because that is my boyfriend Cal's favorite. I'm also gonna do one that's a little bit more fun. It replicates this nut butter from my favorite acai bowl place back in California. So good. It's a really unique flavor, honestly. I also checked on my chia pudding and it was way, way, way too liquidy. So threw a few more chia seeds in there, put it back in the fridge. We'll check on that later. I have a question for the natural peanut butter people. I saw online that if you flipped it upside down, the oil would mix in with the rest of the peanut butter. I tried it on the counter. The oil went to the center, but it did not mix in. Then I tried it in the fridge. Obviously that didn't work. That's where we're at right now. I don't know how you can flip peanut butter upside down wrong, but did I do something wrong? Let me know. I'll be back in like a half hour when this is done. Okay, peanut butter is pretty much done. There comes a point where I'm like, I don't care anymore. I'm done. And that's a future me problem because then the bottom last little bit of peanut butter is like rock hard. When I was a kid, one of my dad's many, many jobs in our household was stirring the natural peanut butter, and I went through so much peanut butter as a kid. Now as an adult in my own home, I really do feel for my dad in a new way because stirring natural nut butter is a nightmare. What's our strat for this? I don't even know what I do. I try to get the sides and the bottom mixed in, but otherwise I'm kind of just hitting them with one of these. Okay, so for the butter, we are just doing about equal parts cashew butter, almond butter, drizzle of honey, and some cinnamon. Tracking the calories of nut butter is always so devastating. I saw this TikTok once about black mold in dates, and all the comments were like, oh my gosh, how do I know if my dates have black mold? I've unfortunately eaten it before and I've seen it before. And let me tell you, it will be extremely clear to you if there's black mold inside of your dates. And that's another reason why getting dates with pits in them is great, because then you're forced to check every single one by the nature of opening it to remove the pit. But basically the whole inside looks like black powder, like charcoal powder or something. I don't think I have it in me to melt the chocolate and then clean the little container that I melted the chocolate in. So I'm just gonna chop up some chocolate chips. For my snack today, I did a little Greek yogurt, coconut, blueberry, and blue chia bowl. I always add a little bit of stevia to my Greek yogurt, and then for this bowl, I topped it with coconut, frozen blueberries, and a little bit of granola for some crunch. I feel like this is the perfect little snack to hold me over until dinner, since I am hungry, but it isn't quite time to make dinner yet. I wanted to chat a little bit about how I structure my meals when I'm in a fat loss phase, because one of the things that is really helpful for me to get into a calorie deficit is to have 2 larger meals a day rather than 3 smaller ones, because I love snacking, and if I were to have 3 square meals a day, it would be hard for me to make room for snacks as well. So what I prefer to do is have a bigger breakfast, snack throughout the afternoon, and then have a bigger dinner. In the morning, I will just kind of fast. It's not technically intermittent fasting because I do have like a coffee. At the start, I find it pretty difficult to wait until like 11 o'clock or 12 to eat breakfast. But I mean, at the end of the day, when you are in a fat loss phase, if you're tracking calories, there's only so many calories you have to work with. So if you're like watching this full day of eating thinking like, that's not a ton of food, it's a calorie deficit. So yeah, it's less than normal because I'm trying to lose fat, which in order to do that, you have to eat less than you would normally eat. So there are a lot of things that I would do differently if I wasn't in a calorie deficit. But anyway, since I am prioritizing protein and fiber throughout the day, I don't find that I get that hungry. I think it'd be a lot harder to stick to my calorie deficit if I was eating a lot of high calorie foods. If I was eating Domino's pizza for dinner, I would only get to have like 1 slice, and that would be so depressing. So I do try to shift the foods I'm choosing to be a little bit healthier just so I can eat more volume and feel full, because I'm not one of those people that can have just like a little slice of pizza and be like, oh, I'm good now. During the past couple of years, I have lost about 30 pounds of fat, so this is not my first rodeo. These are all tweaks and adjustments that I've made over time to just find what works for me. So I do find that in the first couple of weeks of a fat loss phase, I'm really hungry and I'm like, how am I gonna do this? After that first little bit though, I do find that I adjust to it and I'm not quite as hungry. Like now my calorie deficit has kind of become a new normal for me. There are still days where I'm like, oh my God, I'm starving. And then there are other days where it's not so bad. I feel like today, honestly, honestly is not so bad. And part of that is that I've really been prioritizing protein and fiber in all my meals, which, to be honest, on some of the days that I'm not filming, I'm not quite as good at it. But now that I'm being held accountable, it does really help and make a difference if you are hitting your protein and fiber. I'm gonna have some Quest protein chips, and the most depressing part about this experience is when I'm in a calorie deficit, I can't just go sit on the couch with a big bag of chips and eat as many as I want. I have to put a bowl on my food scale and weigh out my chips. It's depressing, but it needs to happen because I just can't be trusted to just like have a normal amount. I will eat through the whole bag in one sitting. 130 calories, 60, no, 16 grams of protein and 130 calories. It's dinner time. Let's make some burgers. I'm always on the hunt for a little bit of extra protein. 160 calories, 8 grams of protein, 3 grams of fiber. Doesn't sound like much, but throughout the day, little by little, it adds up. It is important, especially as a vegetarian myself. I'm not gonna bullshit you right now. Sometimes I open my fridge and I pull out a piece of fiber bread, untoasted, nothing on it. It's my guilty pleasure. One slice, 10 grams of fiber. This is where that came from, in case you're wondering. I've been a vegetarian for 12 years now. I just have textural issues with most meat, except for crispy bacon. That's okay. Otherwise though, don't love it. This is perfect. It like gets that vibe of a burger, but it's so much softer because most burgers to me are a little bit chewy and it just freaks me out. I don't know what to tell you, but this is the real deal. I very generously offered tonight to make my boyfriend's burgers, mostly because I'm starving, so we need to eat now. Therefore, I'm making a burger, but this is a true act of love that I'm touching this because the texture of this really freaks me out. People who eat meat, do you get desensitized to it, or does it still freak you out and you just ignore it? Let me know. And now we have my beautiful little Princess Impossible burger. Okay, dinner was fantastic. I did dig into those date bites from the fridge and those were also fantastic. So here are my final thoughts on the meals from today. In terms of taste, everything was fantastic. Like I would say one of my better what I eat in a day videos of all time. I would say the huge downside or maybe the mistake that I made today was not prepping large batches of everything. I felt like I ended up doing a lot of dishes because I was making things in mostly single servings. All in all, I had a great day. I made it in under my calorie target for the day. Felt pretty full and satisfied, to be honest. And I honestly didn't really find myself getting hungry today. And I think that comes down to a couple things. Obviously, fiber and protein, we've talked about that. I was also drinking a lot of water, which I think really does help. I do just want to mention, since this is a part of my kind of back on track with health and fitness series I'm doing on my channel called Reignite, I am still running 20% off of my 8-week fitness guide, Ignite. I'm currently on week 3 of the program, and I'm honestly already starting to notice a difference in how I feel and my performance in the workouts, which is really exciting. If you want to get 20% off, you can use the code Reignite20, so you get the entire 8 weeks of workouts, plus there's tons of other extras in there like nutrition, calendars, workout menus, all kinds of stuff. So that would be $36 USD after the discount. If you've had your eye on it, now's the time. Anyway though, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope these recipes maybe gave you some inspiration of things that you can try, especially if you are also in a fat loss phase like I am right now. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to subscribe. I upload new videos every week, and I will see you next time.